Hello and welcome back to my milestone for CST 391 JavaScript web application development. So last we made a C# API. Now we're going to be making the same API but with ExpressJS. So we're going to be using the Postman to help us out with all of the request parts of it. But first what we'll do is we'll dive into the actual code. So just so we could understand this project, we pretty much have a project right here, and the main files we're going to focus on is the database. This just connects our MySQL database connection to our local right here you see database. So we have a goals tracking database with a goals table. I already have 6 pre-existing records in there, which we'll go ahead and mess around with, add, update, delete, and get all. And then we have our index where we have, pretty much get our variable set up. We have cores, we have our get methods, get all, get by ID. We have our post method, we have our put method, and then we have our delete method, and then we just have a listening port that we can do. So I'll go ahead and navigate over to the project. As you can see here, we have now now you can see that we actually are in the project folder from our command line. From here, what I'll do is I'll do nodemon and target our index.js file to begin running our project. So first thing we'll notice is it tells us exactly what port we're listening on, and then if the database connection is successful or not. In this case, database is up and running, everything is connected. And what we'll do is we'll just go to the goals localhost URL. So we see like everything is set up, the database is working. So what we could do from here is hop into Postman and actually start testing things out. So first I'll do a get all requests to goals. And there we go, we have our first 6 records shown. Now we can target these records one by one too, but with the ID. I'll go ahead and check out ID 1, which is create the goal tracking API with ExpressJS. If I go back to get all, we can see goal ID 1, and that's exactly what showed up. And we could do this for all the other ones too. We could check out number 2, complete this week's quiz, complete Angular activity, complete week participation, submit all assignments, and etc. Now what we'll do is we'll try to actually post a new item. So all we have to do is we have to target the goals URL. And since we have auto incrementing goal IDs, we just have to go ahead and put a title, and our IDs are automatically adjusted for us. So I could say finish milestone 3 ExpressJS API screencast, right? And we'll go ahead and submit that. And we see we have a successful insert of goal finish milestone 3 express. And let's just go back to our get all, we'll send, and we can see like we get a goal ID, and then we get this new, go ahead and get by ID record, and we can see finish milestone 3 express API screencast. So that is working. Now we'll move on to the updating part, which is put method. I'll go ahead and target number 17 ID, and instead I'll put screencast uploaded to YouTube, right? And go ahead and send that. And as we can see, we now got a response that says successful update of goal ID 17 to, and the value we just entered. Go back to number 17, and obviously it was finished milestone 3. Now we send, and we can see it's now updated, and it's updated here as well and get all. And now if you want to, we can go ahead and delete stuff too. So I'll go ahead and delete item number 17 and see what happens. And we see successful delete of goal ID 17. Go back here. Let's try to look for number 17 and see what happens. As you can see, we get a empty response. Now that we have an empty response, we can go back here. So here we have it. We were able to get all, get by ID, post new goals, update new goals, and delete goals. And lastly, to make sure that we are actually doing this right, let me go ahead and add a new one and say test in local database. Go ahead and send that. We have a successful insert of goal. If I go back to get, we should see we have ID number 18 and we have this updated. And if you go to our localhost, it should be reflected in the database. So go ahead, refresh, and we see that we have it in here. So that means every other thing we were doing was being updated in an actual database. So lastly, what we'll do is we'll go into the actual details of these methods. So this is get goals, which is all of them. We can see that we have a query from the database. That database is queried from the database variable we created in database.js over here. So if an error occurs, we just throw the error. Otherwise, we just go ahead and send back the data, and it is in JSON format. Moving on to get goal by ID. Another query, but now we have the condition of getting the ID from the request, and same other process follows. For the posting goals, we go ahead and create a insert query. We have our if else once again, and in this case I have a catch statement with the try because I was just having some issues, had to jump in the debugger to kind of figure things out. But the reason I needed this is because I couldn't get the res.body.title and I couldn't access the body at all. It wasn't until I added in these two lines of code that I was able to get that working. Once post was working, then we were able to quickly move on to put, which follows the same copy paste, but now we just changed it to update. And this one obviously targets the body and the request parameters. And lastly, we have the delete by goal ID, just a simple if else where we delete by the ID param in the URL. And that is pretty much a wrap up of my ExpressJS Web API. Thank you for watching.